Hello and welcome to Vejer de la Frontera, the home of the 28th Sunshine Tour. With 7 weeks of competition in 2022, offering 7 4-star level qualifying Grand Prix for the World Championships, over 40 world ranking classes, and over €2 million in prize money, it's a destination event for many of the world's best at the beginning of each season. But this huge showground and circuit also allows the development of the equine superstars of the future with a popular development international young horse series. The lure of the circuit is the weather, and we usually couldn't ask for better. However, in week 5, the large Tour Grand Prix was moved to Saturday, so our Sunday highlight focus is on the Milton Arena and the Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix. This Meter 50 Longines ranking class has a course set by Spanish designer Marcos Núñez with a first round time allowed of 71 seconds. Over 60 starters in the first round of the Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix, and we join the action with Michael Pendo and HHS Fast Forward. Fast Forward by Fortunas, owned by Marion Hughes, for whom Mikey has been riding for a number of years. Mikey just recently had a top 10 finish in the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Doha with HHS Calais, a horse that also gave him a top 5 finish in the World Cup qualifier at La Coruña. This horse, Fast Forward, has won good jump-off classes at Villamora and at Valkenswaard just recently. Unlucky there, that little light plank coming out of the double, and actually they get caught out at the end of the related distance as well at the horseware fence. That Andalucía wall, we've seen that out in the David Broome Arena as well, the main grass field here at the Sunshine Tour. Just going to lick a rail off there, unfortunately, as he comes down quite a short distance inside that double at the end of the line. As this set-up fence, this triple bar here in the corner, you can see him just moving fast forward a little bit left across that triple bar to just size up on the distance here to the third of the doubles on course. Double of verticals, and then this grey and sky blue Oxer at the last. So it is going to be 3 down, 12 full, 70.85 seconds, just inside the 71. But I have to say, the riders have really got that time allowed well judged this week. There's, I don't think, anyone being caught out by the time allowed in this first round so far. And of course, with the change in the rules this 2022 season, it really does suddenly and very quickly become influential if you do start to exceed that time allowed. Well, the class that we would normally feature, the Big Tour Grand Prix, was held yesterday, and it was won by this lady, French Olympic gold medalist Penelope Leprevaux, with GFE Excalibur de la Tour Vidal, one of her very, very top horses. Penelope, ranked just outside the world's top 50 at the moment, rides GFE Candy de Nantuelle by Louis Dam out of a Diamant de Semi-Mer. Had this horse as her second horse during the 5-Star Nations Cup Tour at Rotterdam last summer. You see the riders at this stage, they're very conscious of just wanting to turn maybe a little bit tighter up to that double at 3A and B than they would necessarily want to in a perfect world, but they are just that conscious of the time. As I say, everyone has found the route to be inside it, but it is not without trying. Quite a big jump-off field for us already as well, with 9 qualified through, but it's a while since we've seen our most recent qualifier. But this horse jumping very, very well for Penelope today. really pushes up there. Now she has to balance and make a little bit of a change just so she doesn't roll too forward into these double verticals. She does it very well. Look at this time as well. This has been such a forward pacey round. This is going to be one to watch in the jump off because that's where they're going as clear round number 10. You see, it's actually a great shot of the wall there. You can see how the top blocks are actually hollow, making them even lighter and a little bit more difficult for the horse to read and discern. As long as the horse reads the top of the fence, you're fine, but it just does change constantly, that wall, with the hole underneath, then solid, then those hollow top blocks. Another Olympian, Billy Toomey, who represented Ireland at the London 2012 Games. Billy with Lady Lou, a horse that went very well for him when he spent the spring in Wellington, Florida in 2020. It's been Billy's horse at several major 5-star and Nations Cup shows. Just has a real hard shift left there over number 2. Billy, who co-owns with long-term and very loyal owner Sue Davies. Billy's won no less than 3 of the major Nations Cup Grand Prix in Europe: La Baule, Falsterbo, St Gallen. Clear through the second double, the Sunshine Tour, and turning now to the triple bar at the bottom of the ring. Lady Lou just really scoots into the bottom of that. Lays a toe. All the way home, and unfortunately it's the very last that comes down the front rail off the last 4. Billy Toomey and Lady Lou will keep them out of the jump off. They go into 13th best at the moment as one of our fastest 4 faulters. You can see here how Lady Lou is just sometimes making life a little bit difficult for Billy, really moving in the air. I wouldn't have said that was necessarily the problem, but if we had another angle on that, you might just see that they weren't just on the spot that they would have liked in a perfect world to that last. Well, Jason Foley riding Keatingstown Z Welly 2. Owned by Sharon Fitzpatrick. This horse has been ridden by Susan Fitzpatrick, who currently sits as our fastest 4 faulter. Unfortunately, we're not going to see this one in the jump off either. Jason, a graduate of Ireland's very successful youth jumping programs. He's been a junior and young rider team medalist in the past few years. Also has won a gold medal at the World Young Horse Championships at Lanarken. But 2 very early rails here with Keatingstown Z Welly 2. Sport horse by Z Welly. Still just sometimes jumping a little green, this young horse, but by the same token, settling into the round a little bit more. So the final run on home on 12 faults. Unfortunately, it's going to continue to increase. And again, the horse just not making the truest shape for Jason over those verticals on the way home. So it's going to be 16 jumping faults inside the time. Real hard start to have that very first down. And you could see here he was on a lovely spot, and then the horse just made that shift on takeoff, which meant they couldn't quite get the back bar. Well, a rider with a lot of horses down here at the Sunshine Tour and doing very well is Kim Emin. Kim, who was top 5 in recent seasons in the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Paris. Kim with Delvaux, the 14-year-old by Chaco Blue. Now this is a real class above this horse. It's been a horse that we've seen at a lot of Kim's 5-star and World Cup qualifier starts. Had a podium finish together at Gym, jumping indoor Maastricht a couple of years ago. So still just the 10 clears at the moment. Penelope Le Prévost, our most recent clear. And not many left to start in this medium tour Andalucía Grand Prix. Great to have the regional government of Andalucía as one of the supporters here at the Sunshine Tour. Sadly, that little light plank, it has been so often on the ground. That double comes really early on the course. It's set up very technical, with that light rail, that light plank on the way out. Through the second double, she just moves a little bit to the right, looking, considering perhaps her turn here to the triple bar. She sees a long one there. Again, a little bit like Penelope Le Prévost, then you can't carry that on. You've got to change out of that spot to be ready for the double of vertical, so she does very well. Such a shame, just the early rail, 69.76 on the clock. 4 faults for Kim Emmen and Delvaux. So we'll see them 24th position. It is incredibly close behind. A lot of 4 faulters there sitting behind our 10 clears at the moment. And there, just as the moment, you see actually maybe from the horse's expression that he was already looking a little bit to the right, maybe not concentrating fully on that light plank. More to come from the Sunshine Tour after this break. Welcome back to the Sunshine Tour. It's the Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix here from the Milton Ring. Marcos Nunez setting the track. 10 clears so far as we get the action back underway in this first round with Luis Fernandez Gilfunier and Ibon. Saying 10 clears over very nearly 60 starters so far, so I think he'll be pretty pleased with the rate. I think he's set out a very good course for these medium tour contenders. The Big Tour Grand Prix this week was a meter 55 class, meter 50 Longines world ranking here for the medium tour. Luis Fernandez Gilfunier, the winner a couple of seasons ago of the 2-star Grand Prix at Longines Global Champions Tour Madrid. Been partnered with this horse Ibon since 2017 on the international stage. Just going a little bit long and low, and you see then they ended up quite close in there. The horse had to be quick in front. Catches the front rail. You see now Luis Fernandez sits up, shakes the reins a little bit, just thinking about whether he could be the fastest 4. Just this final line to go. And maybe just hurried things a little bit too much coming out of that double of vertical. So he gets caught out here as well, because the horse, you could see its attention wasn't on that final jump. So unfortunately the first rail maybe cost him the next 2 as he tried to change the tactic and the plan, and ends up on a total of 12. Starts off very nice and active. We see again and again how they're really having to jump that horseware on the turn. And there was the first rail, and straight away you can just see Luis Fernandez land and think, okay, let's hustle on. On we go to Poland, Przemysław Konopacki and Vasco. Przemysław, one of the top 10% of ranked riders in the world. He was actually on the podium in the World Cup League final for Central Europe in February. Rode this horse in Nations Cup action last year on the EEF, the European Equestrian Federation circuit at Ugerhaln, and that EEF Nations Cup series scheduled once again for 2022. I know a lot of nations felt they got real great value out of it last year. Just goes right up in the air, comes down on that back bar, but it stays. But just wants to be thinking a little bit more forward. Not so much as others, but you still get this impression that they can't just take that horseware fence straight and then start their turn back to the wall. They all feel that with the time and the layout of the course, they have to be turning over it. Yeah, just he wanted to hold the horse to change his stride, and then the horse ended up going up rather than forward over that bridge fence. A little bit the same, just couldn't quite get the reach to that back rail. You see this horse just going way up in the air rather than forward a couple of times. Yeah, and here he asked for a long one. For sure, in a perfect world, he would have liked to have had space for one more stride there. He had to ask for it. It's a good clip on the last as well, but it stays in place. It's 8 faults for Przemysław Konopacki and Vasco. So they'll be quite far down the order, as we still just have 10 clear rounds and 5 left to start in the first round of this Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix. That's the moment where the horse just sort of hung at the gate. This then is the fence after. You can see not only hangs, but actually has this big shift to the right in the air as well, making that last rail, the back rail, too difficult to reach. Well, Swedish Championship rider Douglas Lindelöf, Casemiro CC. His backup horse to Casco Blue at several 5-star and World Cup shows over the last 12 months. Douglas most recently on the Swedish Championship team at Riesenbeck, the Europeans last summer. He's been a 3-time World Cup finalist and a career winner of the 5-star Nations Cup Grand Prix out in Poland at Sopot. Casemiro by Cachas out of a contender mare. And actually, for all that we've been talking, that most of the riding that horseware fence as if it was already in the jump off. Douglas just rides it straight, then starts his turn. But he'll know with this horse has been at the 5-star level. Maybe not jumping the big Grand Prix classes, the Nations Cups, but he has been jumping at those shows. And therefore, Douglas probably has a lot of confidence in his ability to cover the ground comfortably at 375 meters a minute. Nice shot of Douglas, head and eyes over to the left, just picking up this next jump. Just takes a balancing step or two on the dog leg up to the double of verticals. And safely over the last as well. Comfortably inside the time, Douglas Lindelöf. A little bit of a wait. He is clear round number 11 for us here in the Milton Ring. Some of those jumps that we've seen fall again and again. You can see just how clean Casemiro CC is over each of them. William Whittaker in the Old Lodge colours for Sultan Saud. This is Jalala OL by Chaco Blue. William, who represented Great Britain at the World Games in 2018 and again was on the British team at the European Championships last summer. This horse produced through to the top level by Louise Saywell. It was actually at Nations Cup shows with Holly Smith as well. William with the ride since the British Horse of the Year show last autumn. Holly Smith and Fruselli, one of our qualifiers for the jump off at the moment. been very successful over the years, several World Cup qualifier wins, including the home one at London. He's had a good season riding some of the RMF horses in America as part of the Global Champions League as well. Well, that's the last fence you'd expect to go, especially the way this horse has been jumping. And he'll be heartbroken if that's the only one down. Well, actually, having the last down might make a bit of amends, because you'd be absolutely kicking yourself for having the triple bar down. But again, mentally, maybe it just shook William a little bit and didn't have full focus on the final line. Very, very tough. Such a good round of jumping up onto that point for Jalala OL and William Whittaker, but unfortunately denied their place in the jump off by the back rail at the triple bar, and then, to add insult to injury, the back rail of the final oxer. Pedro Vinícius for Brazil. Three-time Brazilian Olympian. Twice Pan Am team gold medalist for Brazil. He was our winner of the Week 3 Grand Prix here at the Sunshine Tour with Nimrod de Muse. This is Escape Adventure by Rhodium. Pedro's had 2 top 10s with this horse in the last couple of weeks here at the Sunshine Tour. He's actually ridden the horse before, but up until a few weeks ago, the horse was mostly being competed internationally by Brazilian teammate Karina Johan Peter. Certainly doesn't have too much to worry about pace-wise, but again, you get to these riders of the caliber of Pedro, and that 375 meters a minute shouldn't be of any concern whatsoever. However, the little light plank at the first double is the concern, and it's going to keep Pedro away from a second Grand Prix victory this season here at the Sunshine Tour. So 11 clears at the moment, just 2 left on the starting list who could join that starting field. Pedro, I have to say, from the other competitors' point of view, they'll be moderately relieved, because that late in the draw for a jump-off, he would have been a real threat. There's another one to just take off a little bit far and then paddle the back rail out of the triple bar. So 8 faults in just under 70 seconds for Pedro Vinícius, the Brazilian Olympian, with Escape Adventure. Yeah, it looks like he might have just been a bit too forward and fast at that. At the triple bar, he was, like a couple of others, maybe just half a stride too far off it for the width. Mariano Martinez Bastida is our next to go, the Spanish rider with Belano van de Vinhove. Mariano's Nations Cup horse last year at Vila Moura in Portugal. World Cup horse just a few weeks ago, really, at La Coruña. Belano and Mariano took a Grand Prix win at Eselhof last summer. Mariano being a Grand Prix winner across Spain, as you'd expect, but also in Portugal. At Vila Moura in the past with plenty of other horses as well. Actually gets a nice balance there, because he actually just restricts the horse's desire to turn over the horseware until they are truly landed. Oof. just agreed to trust Mariano at the last moment over that bridge fence because he really was looking at it. Belano by Berlin out of a Darko mare. It's round to the triple bar. She's just going to put a little bit more width on that because he jumps at landing right of center, so slightly longer drift up to the double of verticals. They're quite lucky there because he really did shift at the last moment before the first of those verticals, but it's clear. Clear 68.11. Mariano Martinez Bastida and Belano van der Winhoeven are 12th and last so far to be qualified for our jump-off, so they very much have the whip hand, knowing exactly what they have to do by the time they get to us. Well, the last rider in the first round, seeing whether it's going to be 12 or 13 clear rounds, is Robert Whittaker with Caroline Blatchford's Vermento by Argento. Vermento was Robert's horse for the Grand Prix at last autumn's Horse of the Year show in Great Britain. Roberts jumped 2 of the international weeks at Kiso in Bedfordshire in the UK before joining the Sunshine Tour in 2022. Robert, who's featured on the top of the leaderboard in many of the big Grand Prix and World Cup qualifiers around the world. He actually took a very good 5-star Grand Prix win a few seasons ago at Lausanne in Switzerland. This horse just eating up these fences. He's got scope to burn. There's no worry about this one being ready for the meter 60 level of the sport. And really adjustable as well. You can just see when Robert sits up and asks to come back or leans forward, asks him to go forward. Vermento is there. It is going to be very fast, and it should be clear the way they've been jumping. 68, 63 and clear. Robert Whittaker and Vermento make it a baker's dozen. 13 for the jump off here in the Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix, this meter 50 Longines ranking class. Well, a lovely round of jumping from Robert Whittaker and Vermento to seal the starting order for our jump-off to come in this Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix. The team here at the Sunshine Tour are going to get that set up. We'll be back with the jump-off in just a few moments. So welcome back to the Sunshine Tour, the Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix. Philippe Amaral was our first qualifier. Michael Hughes, who we see so often down here in the Sunshine Tour. Kendra Clarissa Brinkup. They will be going forward in our jump-off to come. Ours will be Jens Backerman, one for Spain there with Manuel. We've also got Mariano Martinez Bastida towards the end. We saw him qualify. Lucas Porter and Sea Hunter, Holly Smith Fruselli. That combination that had such a good 5-star run last year. GFE Candida Nantuel was our 10th qualifier for Penelope Le Prevot. And then it's going to go all the way down to Robert Whittaker and Vermento, the 13th to qualify. Robert, who had a very, very good first round. He could be one to watch and has a great draw from which to try and win this class. Marcos Nunez setting the course here in the Milton Ring. He set quite a nice track here. We'll follow it around with Felipe Amaral, Pan Am's and World Cup Finals rider for Brazil. Felipe and this horse had a win and a podium at last summer's Aachen 5-star in Germany. Pushes down here to the horseware fence. Obviously the B element of that double is gone. They have to turn around. I don't think there's any way they can be neater inside that. You can see he's changed the wall a little bit. He's put a rail over the top of the wall. And And Felipe just gets a nice spot there at the equine America, turns inside the timing beams to come down to both parts of fence 9. Oh, and he's all wrong there coming out for 4. This was the triple bar. It's been made into a Longines vertical. He cuts up across the ring now to jump 11B, now in the colors of the Andalucía government region, and it's 4 faults in 40.30 for Felipe Amaral. So Germanica by numero uno, unfortunately just not finding the key to a double clear here today. Just paddled back down into it. He looked to actually have been on a very good spot on takeoff. Well, the rider from the Stefex stables, Michael Hughes, the United States of America, with Melody K. Vance Kattenheier. Konrad Obolensky, Cannon is the breeding on this one. Michael, in his second year at Stefex, seems to have taken over the ride on Halifax Van Het Kluisbos there for Stefan Conter at the moment as well. Former North American team and individual young rider medalist. Michael and this horse, Melody, were top 5 in a good meter 50 jump-off class earlier in the tour here this spring. He's just a little bit like riding a rocking horse at the moment until Melody really settles down into it, the job. 17, 18 seconds over the equine America. Coming around towards the final line. Jump the vertical. It's up on 9 strides up to the last. 39.23 is faster than Felipe Amaral and does so with a clear round. So double clear for Michael Hughes. He becomes the one to beat. Beatable, I think. But a nice result for him on the final day of the medium tour here at the Sunshine Tour. Well, the first 20 in the first round delivered just those 2 clears. Then 23rd to jump, Maximilian Vector and Cassiopeia delivered our 3rd clear to qualify. Maximilian has had 3 youth appearances for Poland, including one here at Weher. He was the World Cup winner at Poznan this season. He's been a multiple class winner over the years at the 5-Star Nations Cup show at Sopot in Poland. Maximilian and this horse, Cassiopeia by Casal, won twice in Table A speed format at Wiener Neustadt. He was maybe a shade up on Michael Hughes' time, but the rail will count against him, of course. What will you do? Difficult at this stage to know. It's a big jump off with 13 in it. Do you try and be a fast forward? Still put pressure on people? I would say still that underlines that Michael Hughes' time is beatable, but with 4 faults, Maximilian Vector will go second best at this early stage, 39.59. Another rider with great experience here at the Sunshine Tour, another rider in the colours of the Stefex stables as well, Kendra Clarissa Brinkop. You see her again and again in the mix of some of these Sunshine Tour Grand Prix every year. This is Narcos van der Schmidtshoven by Toulon. Just stablemate Michael Hughes as double clear at the moment. she is incredibly close to the red flags on the right-hand side of that horseware fence, trying to be as economic as possible. Lands into a nice big open stride there. 16 rising 17. There isn't really much to choose between anyone over that Equine America jump. That's what they do on this second half of the course. Now, Kendra has been making some great inside turns. Is that a good one? 31 over that. Pushing up towards the last 39.23 to beat. Surely she's got it. Yes, 38.21, 1.02 seconds faster. Kendra Clarissa Brinkop makes it so far a Stefex 1-2. That might have been just where she found that little smidgen, although when we got to the time check fence, we didn't feel like she was vastly different to Michael Hughes at that point. So a rider who we saw in the 2 weeks of five-star jumping in Qatar earlier this month, Jens Bachmann. Jens with Aglaya J by Arpeggio. Combination have had good Grand Prix results here in the past, and this was Jens's Nations Cup horse at Vila Moura, at one of the Winter Nations Cups held at the Portuguese venue. Jens is one of the German riders on the Nations Cup here at Weher in the autumn of last year, and once again those Nations Cups that were put on at the likes of Vila Moura and here at Weher, hugely appreciated by the nations and the riders. This is a good time. Jens Bachmann, if he can keep this pace up and leave them standing, he's just making sure of this double. See him sit up and balance a little bit, moves on again, turning back to where the triple bar was for this big maximum height vertical. 38.21 to beat again. We're about to see a change, surely. 37.61, just over half a second better, but better. As we get another double clear. So 3 double clears. Jens Bachmann leads the way. Kendra Clarissa Brinkop in second. Michael Hughes in third. Germany, USA at the moment. Actually, you see on that angle what an amount of ground he managed to make up, jumping into the distance up to the last over that Longines vertical. Spanish Olympian Manuel Fernandez Saro represented Spain at last summer's Riesenbeck European Championships as well. This is a relatively new partnership for Manuel. This is Aquafina PS by Action Breaker. Only been riding this horse since last October. Competitive to here. Getting the official time difference there now just shows him a little bit down on time, down on faults anyway. As he takes the Longines vertical with him, Manuel Fernandez Saro will finish just under 40 seconds, 38. But it is with 4 faults, 38.23, 4 faults, and 4th best for Manuel Fernandez Saro. Yeah, just didn't clear that maximum height vertical in front on the way home, sadly, for the Spanish Olympian. Straight after Manuel secured his place in the jump-off, we welcome forward German rider Torben Kohlbrand. And happy time by the Team Nijhoff Stallion quality time. Torben has won some good jump-off classes across Europe, the likes of Herning, Samarin, Bonheiden. Well, this horse, happy time, had good results in a Grand Prix at Hagen last year. Was starting to rack up the double clears, mind you. Is going to take a decent effort to be on the podium, I think, here today in the Andalucía Grand Prix. Yeah, just looks like he's dug in for the clear rather than trying to go as fast as possible. Just 10 years old, this one. Gets the double clear. Did just hear a tap at the last, but it looks like it stayed there. So another German double clear. This time it is for Torben Kolbrandt. 39, 41, and fourth best. It's a great shot of the changes they've made to the Andalucía wall for the jump-off, and you can see the rattle we heard at the very last there. More action to come as the jump-off continues. Well, welcome back to this Andalucía Medium Tour Grand Prix. Halfway through the jump-off field, Jens Bachmann it is leading on 37.61. Lucas Porter goes next. Lucas, who was a Nations Cup rider here last year. Jumped the five-star Nations Cup at Heasteren in recent seasons as well. That was back in 2019 when Rotterdam was the European Championships. This was Lucas's Nations Cup horse at Wellington last year, and the horse with which he has both been a metre-60 Grand Prix winner at Donaueschingen and also runner-up in a four-star Grand Prix at Samorin. Having a good cut at this early on. Say the turn back, the wall quite changed material. He's down. We're looking at 16, 17 seconds over that fence there. We get the official time check coming through this Sunshine Tour double. You see that he is very nearly 2 full seconds down. Not too many double clears just yet, though. I think the quality of the field to come, though, we're going to see more and more of them. Very nearly 2 full seconds down, 1.99 adrift on the clock for Lucas Porter, 39.60, and goes fifth best. So still Jens Bachmann, the one to beat, 37.61. Nice round of jumping there from Lucas, though, to get another double clear on the board in this Medium Tour Grand Prix. British Olympian Holly Smith with Fruselli. This horse went so well for Holly last year as a class winner at the Barcelona Nations Cup finals, won the La Ball Derby, and then the following week won 2 five-star classes on the bounce at the Royal Windsor Horse Show in Great Britain. So they've got to be ones to watch here, but there's some serious quality coming behind them as well. If Holly has an eye on taking the win in this class, which I think she does, it's a good split there off the eye. As I say, if she has her eye on this class, she won't want to leave the door open one little bit. Half a second up. Pushing on towards home. Holly Smith to go into the lead here for Great Britain. Holly and Fruselli will set the new standard, 36.99. Great round of jumping from Fruselli and Holly Smith to take the lead here. About 3/4 of a second up. They actually were about half a second up, I think, at the official split, and then managed to increase it yet more on the way up to this Government of Andalusia final fence here on the Grand Prix course today. But it could be short-lived because we have such stars yet to come qualified for this Grand Prix jump-off, and Penelope Leprevaux is the first into the ring after her GFE Candy de Nantuelle. And Penelope won that big Tour Grand Prix here yesterday with GFE Excalibur de la Tour Vidal. This horse is no less experienced at 5-star than Fruselli went in the second horse classes at the Nations Cup at Rotterdam last year, for instance. Doesn't necessarily look as competitive. She came around that corner though, found herself on a long one and took it. And actually, I don't think she's that far behind. Just over a second adrift through there. She actually gets a good spot to the left-hand side here. Maybe a little bit bowed wide on the way out to the last, but can she make up a little bit of time? Looks like she has. 3/4 of a second down, 37.72 for Penelope Leprevaux with yet another double clear. So that goes into third. Jens Bachmann still holding on to second place at the moment on 37.61. But it's 36.99 that leads for Holly Smith and Fuseli for Great Britain. See how she was really far to the left-hand side, but actually it maybe cost her. It swings and roundabouts because she ended up having to bow out the line and come back at the Andalucía last off that approach. Another one from well inside the world's top 100, Douglas Lindelof. Championship rider once again for Sweden last summer at Riesenbeck. And this is another horse that's been to a lot of five-star shows, backing up Casco Blue. This is Casimiro CC. Perhaps just didn't go all out down that first line, but again, sometimes difficult to tell with these very experienced horses. The riders can turn up the wick almost imperceptibly. They'll be looking to try and really make the difference in this last sector of the course, and we've seen people make up time as well. 95 hundredths out. It's probably still a little bit too much to catch Holly Smith, but how close can he come? In fact, it goes deeper, 1.23, 1.25 seconds. So Douglas was just scrubbing a little bit of time in the latter part of the course. He couldn't quite keep up with the pace set by Holly Smith, but Douglas Lindelof and Casimiro clear in 38.22. Will join the ranks of the double clears in the final analysis. So there were two chances for Spain in our jump-off. Here is the second of them. Mariana Martinez Bastida. Alana van der Winhove. Nations Cup horse, World Cup horse. Grand Prix winners together. What can they do against 36.99 set by British Olympian Holly Smith and her five-star winner, Fuseli? This horse, although clear, of course, in the first round, just didn't necessarily always seem to be giving the most rideability to Mariano. We saw a very good spot down there. He gets a good turn. Did he just scrub a little bit of time, though, as he tried to take that tightest of turns? He's in a great place time-wise. 0.2 of a second down now. If he can catch up the way Penelope Leprevaux did, this is possible. Great shot up to the last, and he is 1/4 of a second faster, 36.73 for Mariana Martinez Bastida. Could it be a Spanish win here today, or might Robert Whittaker in a moment take it back for Great Britain? Plenty of support around the Milton Ring for that performance for Mariana Martinez Bastida. It was all very, very close. He's actually still down at the official time check in terms of time and just managed to make it up on that final line. 1/4 of a second is all that is in it. I really like the way this horse went in the first round. This is Robert Whittaker with Vermento by Argento. 9-year-old horse just looked so rideable and adjustable for Robert earlier on. The question is whether he's going to really try for this today with this younger horse in comparison to some of the ones that have turned in the double clears. Just hear him rattling away at that horseware jump. He's not looking maybe at the tightest turn back to the Andalucía. Going to stay on a forward one here though. Time is pretty good. So Robert is having a go. 25.84 the split. He could be up. He is up. Mere margins, but he's up. Ah, the rail goes. Let's look at the final time, 36.54. A great, great challenge from Robert Whittaker there in the final analysis with Vermento. It will go into 10th place in that time of 36.54. So unlucky to have that rail on the way home, up all the way. And a time that would have taken the class in the final analysis, but that rail down in the background there at the Longines is the one that made the difference. It's certainly a combination to watch, plenty of combinations to watch. Very interesting to be able to see this medium tour Grand Prix this week from the Sunshine Tour as Week 5 comes to its conclusion here in the Milton Arena with this Andalucía sponsored class. And fantastic result, of course, for the home team here at the Sunshine Tour, as Spanish rider Mariana Martinez Bastida takes victory today for Spain. Juan Marin, Vice President of the Government of Andalucía, making the awards today on behalf of Andalucía. Tremendous supporters of the whole Sunshine Tour here each and every year, and all the shows at Vejer year round. The course was demanding since there was a lot of competitors, but I was lucky enough to go in the jump-off, and in the jump-off my horse is big and very fast, and I was able to win. I've been here for 2 weeks in the Sunshine Tour. The circuit is incredible, and the facilities, I think they're the best in Europe, and I'm delighted. I usually come here a lot, and I'll continue to come. So Spanish victory on the final day of Week 5 of the Andalucía Sunshine Tour. Plenty more action to come with 2 more weeks of sport coming up from this fantastic circuit.